2001. America was in horror of what they had just seen. We had just been struck by terrorists. At 8:45, Flight 11, bound for Los Angeles, had just crashed into the Northern Tower. In 9:03, another hijacked plane hits the South Tower of the Twin Towers in New York, Manhattan. At 9:30, President Bush begins to speak live on air at an elementary school that he had previously been speaking at. At 9:35, a third hijacked plane hit the Pentagon. Every government building was then evacuated. This includes the White House. At 9:59, the South Tower was collapsed, something that had never been seen on television. At 10:28, the Northern Tower had then collapsed. America saw fate there. Most people were gathering water and supplies. What if the whole America was under a terrorist attack? You may think that this is true, but there are many people who think differently, including me. I believed that America's government had sanctioned and planned to destroy the Twin Towers. I would just like to say that this is all opinions followed by facts. You do not have to take this personal or have to believe any bit of it. First thing I'm going to say is how. President Bush, of course, was at elementary school. So many people believe that how could he do it? He definitely hired someone to do it for him. And he placed himself at the elementary school on purpose. Why? He did this because he knew people would try to blame it on him. So if he was somewhere, how could he do it? That's what people believe. Later that day, other people also believed that there was never a plane that crashed, which is also could be true. We see right here by this video posted by Inside Edition on YouTube called Remembering 9/11, a timeline of events I took a screenshot of during it. You can see that is the Twin Tower. Here is the plane right here. That plane looks heavily photoshopped. It does not look real at all. Also, before any planes hit, a lot of people heard explosions and ticking in the basement. All these places were called 911. But what people lived to tell. I have another picture. 9/11, that day, we found out that the two planes that crashed into the Twin Towers exploded on impact. I have a question. How can a plane explode like that? No plane will make the explosion of this. This is also another slow-mo video taken of the plane hitting the Twin Tower. I believe this is the southern. As we see, that is an explosion. That isn't an explosion caused on a transportation unit being exploded. There's also many videos of people taking the 747 plane and crashing it into multiple things. I don't know if the video is still up. It might be. But they did it, and nowhere did it even make the explosion it did. And if you want to watch the video in slow-mo, you can see right when the plane goes, it goes in so smoothly, and there's not many fragments of glass or pieces of the siding that falls. Explain that. The explosions that happened, the way it exploded was no way true. We believe that how could something that makes this explosion, how? A plane like this would just cause a fire, would not cause an explosion. That brings me to my second fact. At 9:59 and 10:28, both of the Twin Towers had collapsed. These Twin Towers needed something to help it collapse. It would not just collapse on its own. There's multiple documentary parts that state this. Any building on fire will not collapse the way that did. It was helped by some other explosion. It's nowhere true. Now that I am done stating all this other stuff, I would like to say another thing. Many people believe, how could the government do it if they would crash into their own building, otherwise known as the Pentagon? There was not much for a terrorist to do. Why would he crash in the Pentagon other than to take more lives? So that leaves me to believe that the Pentagon was hijacked on purpose and was crashed into on purpose by the government. This makes it more believable for the government not doing it, because they wouldn't crash into their own building that they were using, would they? So by doing that, that gives everyone's attention that how could they do it? Why would they explode their own building? That brings me to my last fact. They only blamed it on these terrorists for one reason. They already knew they were a terrorist group that they could believe. And if everyone already knew that these guys were terrorist groups, then everyone will believe that they did it. Now, do you help believe my facts? Do you believe that the government did this? Do you believe that we cannot trust the government? There's other reasons we can't trust the government. Something that most kids have in this middle school is a cell phone. We all know that the cameras on these cell phones have FBI or someone connected to them to see everything through them. We know for a fact that they do that. They watch us every move through cameras out in the streets, through cameras that we can't see. Will you believe me? Thank you, and that takes me to the end of my video. And may God be blessed. May God bless America. Thank you.